In this video, you're going to get great tips and tricks on how to wrap this trash can. In fact, it wasn't supposed to be wrapped. It was purchased after this wrap rejuvenation in this flat in Amsterdam was done, and the trash can was black, and the idea was that it would look really good with those black highlights that were wrapped in the kitchen on the countertop and on the underside, but it was too black. And what I love about wrapping is that you can pivot on a dime, and in this case, instead of returning the trash can, you can now wrap it, and now that it's brushed gold metallic, it blends in much better. So with that, let's get to the install. So the top is taken off, the inside portion is removed, and the idea right now is to take off this top lip, and luckily it's held on only by clips, so these were just simply bent out, and now the top is much easier to wrap. The bottom is very flat and straightforward, so there's no need to take off the bottom. So obviously it's brand new, so don't have to clean too much right now. It's not a used trash can, which is great. So make sure all the edges are degreased and at the bottom section of the table to remove dust. And now coming in with an adhesive promoter right on that upper lip right now. You really want to make sure that material holds for the long term. Material going on is an interior film, very thick and brushed gold metallic textured. So there's different tension points. So that's why adhesive promoter is really important. And you want to make sure it's dry so the install can start right away. So in this particular case, there's going to be no overlap because there's a natural seam on the back side. So the material is just going to be tucked in, very straightforward. So with that, game plan now is about making sure the panel fits. This is a brushed metallic film, so you want to make sure those grains are nice and uniform around the body, so that's one thing to consider. And now in this case, you don't want too much material because as a solo installer working right now, if you have too much material, it can be very difficult. So here the trash can is placed on the liner side right now, rolled over, and now you know exactly where it needs to be cut. You want to give yourself about an extra 1.5 or around 4 centimeters. And instead of using a knife, which may cut the table which is wrapped, I think it's always a good idea to use, in this case, the bodyguard knife from Yellow Tools. Very safe cut. Take the excess material. Always want to save that. You never know when you need it. So with that being said, now it's time to prep the liner side. So using that same backing paper cutter, basically creating a hinge area here that's going to be a very easy starting point for this piece. So make it about 2 inches wide or around 4 or 5 centimeters. And now you want to make sure that you don't come up short on either side. So here, making sure you have just enough material to go past that natural break on the trash can. Pick the piece up, lock it in place, and go left to right. So always want to start in the center with that squeegee stroke. That's a permanent hinge. And notice here, basically folding the material back so the gravity kind of keeps the material away from the surface. This material has no air egress feature, so if it tacks, it's going to be bubbly, and you definitely don't want to pick it back up because it is fragile, because this is a brushed gold metallic film. So once that is set on the one side of the trash can, now it's time to release the liner. Notice being released on the table itself, and then here it's flipped over, and then the backing paper is going to add some weight, and by keeping the backing paper on, it keeps it away from the surface. So if you squeegee at a 45-degree angle and don't squeegee too much at a time, you won't get bubbles. So it's very systematic. So it's all about using gravity and the backing paper. So you can see here the backing paper was removed about 6 inches or about 15 centimeters, and the angle of the trash can is also very important to let the material hang just off the surface. If you keep the trash can at too high of an angle, the adhesive will touch, and if you keep it too low, it'll be awkward squeegeeing. So just don't bite off more than you can chew. Be super patient during this process. Make sure you want to have a fresh buffer on your squeegee. So even though this is interior film, the brushed metallic surface can be a little fragile, so make sure your squeegee is fresh. And be sure to check this out. Don't take the entire liner off right now. Very critical to leave that on. And don't squeegee all the way to the other side. Very important to lay masking tape now, just so the material doesn't stick too much. And then once the masking tape is down, now you can tuck it into the other side. That backing paper held it off just enough and kept even tension. So then once the masking tape was done, it could be tucked in nice and uniform. Very important. There's no tension inside that tuck. And now come in with a knife. Always want to get a good angle here. It's basically 90 degrees right to that edge because it's a very just sharp drop off there, a very tiny drop off, but you're going to want to get a 90-degree angle, go left to right. Now it's time to remove that excess film, and you can see the benefit of the masking tape right there. It doesn't stick too hard to the section that was wrapped before. Now we get into the bottom section now, the base of the trash can, and very important to relax the film right now. This is a calendar film. This is almost like zero stretch. By basically relaxing the film and then cutting on the other side, takes a lot of that tension out. And now watch, instead of squeegeeing it right down right away, very important that once this is all cut away is to come back in with heat and relax it one more time. So even though it was relaxed, it was touching the other side or the bottom of the trash can, didn't relax entirely. So now it's basically been double relaxed. It's now all the way back to zero. Then coming in with the hard side of the squeegee and just slicing it to the base. So again, that's never going to lift. And there's no need to remove this bottom section here because it's at the bottom and it wraps under just enough and it's clean and symmetrical. But now at the top, you can see why we took off the top section there, is this needs to be folded around the lip, and this is going to be highly visual, so it's not going to be hidden like the underside. So once the excess film has been cut away from the top just enough to relax it now, come in with heat gun and just really basically do a 360 and really kind of almost neutralize that tension of the film, like that zero stretch logic. You could have just taken the film at room temperature and folded around this top lip without having left a lot of tension in the film. So by adding heat and allowing it to kind of shrink to that edge, it's going to hold up much, much longer. So be very patient during this process. Just be extra thorough. Don't have the heat gun on high as well. Have the heat gun on medium setting. So you always want to have a variable heat setting on your heat gun just for the interior film especially. And having that application glove on is really nice because it can help form that material down stress-free. So always paying attention to those wrinkles, sealing the deal, and of course always cutting off with a sharp blade. Then here doing a 360, so rotating the trash can so you're not cutting at an awkward angle. And that's what's nice about having this trash can kind of manageable size that you can rotate it, and it makes it much easier and focused for cutting. So once everything's been cut away, now it's time to remove that excess film. And of course, very important to seal the deal. Very thick film. This is around 10 mil thick. And even though it's been zero stretched to the top, always want to come in and just make sure it's 100% sealed. So do a 360, be extra focused. Now you got that full wrap around it. And the final finishing right now is just to cut the slots out for that top piece that was removed at the beginning of the video. So it doesn't have to be perfectly cut out, just the slots enough, because basically this top will never be removed again. So here, those 4 little clips will just slide right in, so keep it at the perfect angle. Once they slide in, then the top just snaps right into place. So definitely worth taking off that top piece, and then you can see you got nice, good full coverage and that good long-term hold, which is great. And the final step is very easy and straightforward. Simple wipe down to remove any handprints or dust that got on it during the install. No need to post-heat or edge seal because nothing was taken past 10%, and because the material was relaxed on all the edges, you got that good long-term hold. And now it goes right into the kitchen, and it fits seamlessly now with that gold brushed metallic bottom and that black top, which looks just like the countertops. Really great pivot from going from a 100% black trash can to one that really looks good with that gold brushed metallic bottom. And that's the beauty of interior wrapping film, is you can pivot on a dime.